This week, we're seeing new moves to sway the price you pay at the gas pump. It comes as gasoline prices have slowly risen over the past month. AAA tracks prices across the country. Their survey found the average price for a gallon of gas in Texas is about $3.25 a gallon. That's up roughly 9 cents from a month ago. It comes as OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, plans to cut production. Our Tom Miller spoke with University of Texas professor Owen Anderson on how the move potentially impacts prices here.
Can you explain what is OPEC and what does it control?
Well, OPEC is 13 oil-producing countries, of which Saudi Arabia is the largest and thus most influential producer. These countries meet periodically to determine how much oil members will actually produce.
Now, there was a recent decision about cutting oil production. What are they looking at, and how does that potentially impact us here?
So they agreed to cut production by 2 million barrels of oil per day. That amount is then allocated among member countries.
Why was this controversial here, and how is the Biden administration responding?
Well, if OPEC members honor their quotas, this would probably mean higher oil prices at the pump and more inflation. Of course, that's good for oil-producing state economies such as West Texas, but it puts added strain on consumers due to inflation.
How high could we see oil prices go here as a result of this?
I would imagine that the range of prices would be maybe $80 to $110 a barrel. And I think it's probably likely to be less than $100 mostly.
Professor Owen Anderson with the University of Texas, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
With just over 2 weeks to go until the midterm elections, polls show voters are most concerned about the economy and inflation, and gas prices are a big factor. Those concerns fueled President Biden to announce a series of steps to boost oil supplies and lower gas prices. Washington correspondent Anna Wernicke looks closer at the president's plan and the response.
President Joe Biden says gas prices are falling, but not fast enough.
Families are hurting.
To help, President Biden says he's ordered the release of 15 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
To ensure that our energy independence and security is available, and to lower gas prices here at home, and to give folks a little bit of breathing room.
Today's announcement is the last of the 180 million barrels the president promised to release from the nation's stockpile last spring.
Everywhere I go, it's about inflation and gasoline prices.
Republicans, including former Vice President Mike Pence, say the Biden administration needs to be more aggressive to bring gas prices down faster.
A war on energy has launched a crisis at the gasoline pump, and a man-made energy crisis in America.
But the president is pointing at oil companies, accusing them of price gouging to fuel historic profits.
You should not be using your profits to buy back stock or for dividends. Not now, not while a war is raging. You should be using these record-breaking profits to increase production and refining. Invest in America.
President Biden says his announcement was not politically motivated, but he needed to give the Energy Department a 6-week heads up to begin releasing the oil this December. For now, in Washington, I'm Anna Wernicke. Back to you.
Thanks, Anna. We took a closer look to learn more about the Strategic Petroleum Reserves. There are 4 facilities in all, 2 in Texas and 2 in Louisiana. The Texas facilities are in Bryan Mound and Big Hill along the Gulf of Mexico. The oil is stored in underground salt caverns. The 4 sites have a combined storage capacity of 714 million barrels of oil. After this release, the reserves will still have close to 400 million barrels. That's enough for an emergency, according to the White House. The Strategic Petroleum Reserves were created in the 1970s after an oil embargo led by Arab nations led to shortages and an energy crisis. The president can decide when to release oil from the reserves. The idea is that those releases increase supply, which can bring down oil prices, controlling the cost of gasoline. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.